A cup of tea can now be serious business. How serious? Well, here's a company, a 3-year-old startup, that its Series C funding has raised $11 million. That's right, $11 million. I'm talking about Vahdam Teas, and joining us now is the founder, Bala Sarda. Hi, Bala. Congratulations. $11 million to sell tea. That's a lot of money. What are you going to do with it?
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Firstly, thank you so much for having me on the show and for your good wishes. We are very excited to, raise our Series C round of funding and get 6th Sense Ventures and a cluster of HNIs back us once again with Fireside Ventures, our current investor. I think we have a lot of plans. We have a lot of plans to take Indian tea global. So I think it's the right amount of money we need to invest in the business, supply chain, and marketing for the next couple of years.
Bala, I'm going to ask you, and I was researching before we got you on the show, that a couple of websites reported that Oprah Winfrey, one of her favorite gifting items in 2018, was your tea. Fact or fake news?
Yes. That actually happened last year. Oprah Winfrey is a big lover of tea, and that too Indian tea. And for a brand which is trying to take Indian tea global, which is with all the presence we have in the US, it was very important that she likes our tea. So we were very ecstatic when she started consuming Vahdam teas, and then of course endorsed 3 of her favorite teas as her favorite things last year.
How did she discover your tea?
How did she discover our tea? So, that's a long story, Nayantara. We've been, trying to. There's a lot of people. Like I mentioned, right, 70% of our business is in the US, 20% in Europe. So we do, we do a lot of marketing, and we ensure that, and I think being a consumer product brand, I think the one thing we focus on is sampling our product. And we were fortunate to sample our teas to Oprah herself, and luckily for us, she liked it, and that's how it all happened. One thing led to the other, and we see her endorsing the brand in a favorite things list.
So are there other celebrities in India or in the United States, around the world, that are fans of Vahdam tea? We're also talking about the festive season. Thanksgiving is not far away. Which are the new celebrities that are liking and sipping on Vahdam tea?
Right, so I think, we actually, there are quite a few, of course, like I said, firstly, we've not paid for any of these endorsements. They are completely organic. But that said, I think, yes, there are, we have a set of influencers who tend to consume Vahdam teas. But as of now, we are excited just to have Oprah back us and help us take the brand to a much larger audience in our top market, which is the United States.
So now tell me, what is so unique about your tea? What makes it stand apart? And these days tea is of course the buzzword, but you also have to compete with what's coming out of China, what's coming out of Japan, and of course our very own gardens in Assam, etc. So what is so unique about your tea?
Right, so Nayantara, I think firstly, like I said, right, India is this magical land of ingredients, right from Darjeeling tea, Assam, Nilgiri, Kangra, Doors. We grow some of the finest herbs and spices like turmeric, moringa, ashwagandha, cardamom. So this is one of the reasons we started Vahdam Teas in 2015. I think we have this array of beautiful ingredients coming out of India, but unfortunately, all of these products and ingredients are exported worldwide in single-digit margins by bulk exporters to these foreign brands, who then package it well and put it out aesthetically and then sell it to consumers at multiple X margins, right? We thought, why can't we build a vertically integrated global brand which takes some of India's finest teas and ingredients to the world under a homegrown label, which also cares for the value chain back here in India. And that's what we did, right? Secondly, unlike fine wine or liquor, tea loses flavor with time. Better tea is tea which is more fresh. And when we studied the supply chain from a farm in Darjeeling or Assam to a customer sitting in London, Tokyo, Singapore, we realized that there were unnecessary middlemen and the entire supply chain was broken. With the advent of technology, e-commerce, we decided to sort of cut out middlemen and make available a much fresher, higher quality product to consumers across the world.
I take your point. Now, Bala, if I could talk to you as the Bala, the entrepreneur who's had a lot of success, I must say. You're a 3-year-old startup. You've had a successful Series C rounding, $11 million. To all the founders, entrepreneurs that are tuning in at the moment, what has been your key to success? What's your secret ingredient? And don't say tea leaves.
Right, I think absolutely. So I think I think what at least I personally believe is what has helped us do what we are doing today with Vahdam is, I think, consistency. I think I tell that to my team as well. I think when you start up, it's a journey when you learn every day. You don't know the right answer on day one. I think, but if you're consistent in your approach, if you're consistent with your efforts, and you know your ultimate goal, I think it ultimately all adds up and it all works out in the end. And I think that's what has happened for us till now. Of course, it's as cliched as it might sound, I think we have the world to conquer with Indian tea, and I think we've just gotten started today.
So now I want to just get on to the fundraising part of it. It's your Series C funding. Do you are you perhaps in a cycle where you're burning a lot of cash?
Not really. I think, Nayantara, I think being a consumer brand, I mean, unlike a typical technology company where, you tend to sort of invest quite a lot of resources in the early years to ensure you create a certain monopolistic situation or a certain situation which is more lucrative in the future disproportionately. I think a consumer brand is, I think it's about consistently building and putting out the message to consumers across the world. I think what has happened with brands like ours, and this advent of consumer brands coming across the world is this internet penetration and the availability of social media.
Okay.
I think that has today ensured that you can build brands with a much lower cost, get effective distribution at a much lower cost. Across the world. So that's what we have done. We, yes, tend to make some investments in the brand, in our packaging, in our R&D, which might ensure that we don't necessarily make money every month. But as a brand, personally, Vahdam is on track to break even by next quarter.
Oh, you're going to break even next quarter. Then, of course, after that will be the road to profitability. Absolutely. That you will be sipping on. And by then your investors, will they get jittery at least with the Series A funding and say that, hey, what about our exits?
Right. So I think, I think that's very important when you get investors on board. But I think we've been very lucky to have long-term investors who understand consumer very well. I think our earliest backers was Mr. Kanwaljit Singh from Fireside Ventures, who has consistently invested in the company, both with money and his own time and energy and advice. And he's marked his third investment this time. And of course, now we have Nikhil Vora from Sixth Sense Ventures. So I think we've got investors who understand the vision, the passion with what we are doing, and they understand that long-term consumer brand building can take a certain amount of time, and they are on us on this journey as we take Vahdam to new heights over the next 3 to 5 years.
So who is going to be your competitor? If 70% of your business is overseas, who are you competing with globally? Is it the likes of TWG?
Right. So I think, honestly, if you look at all the markets we operate in, right, I mean, we typically, we have competition, of course. We have brands who are doing a great job as well. But I think none of them are able to compete with us on a product and supply chain level. To give you a small example, there are 10 brands you might find in the United States, but Vahdam is the only brand which is packed at source and ships direct from source to these retailers, to online setups, and, to consumers directly, right? That gives us a big advantage in terms of the experience, the control over the entire experience of a customer, better margins, better accessibility to high quality products, which we are further able to package and retain, by the time we deliver it to consumers. So I think, yes, there are brands who are doing this. The tea is a huge market. It's a $30 to $40 billion opportunity globally. But I think what we have done over the last 3-4 years with our supply chain, I think we believe we can differentiate amongst all these brands in foreign markets.
So Bala, you keep talking about the freshness of tea. You have tied up with tea gardens primarily in India. Are you looking at maybe tie-ups with tea gardens in other parts of the world, whether it's in China or even if Japan would let you do it for matcha? And I know that you're no stranger to tea. You come from a family which has been in the tea business.
Absolutely. So yes, Nayantara, I personally come with a lineage of over 80 years in tea, and I'm pretty much the fourth generation in my family to join the industry and run a tea business. But I think as of now, yes, we do experiment with foreign ingredients like matcha, for example. But as a brand, we are positioned and will always be truly Indian. So even if you look at our matcha, for example, right, what we did was, since it was a product which was needed by our consumers and there were multiple requests we kept getting every day, we combined matcha, did a lot of R&D and combined it with Indian flavors like turmeric, moringa, ashwagandha, right? So today Vahdam offers globally a beautiful collection of turmeric matcha, moringa matcha, ashwagandha matcha, which basically combines the goodness of India and Japan. But apart from that, I think, we have, like I said, we have tremendous opportunity. It's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity of ingredients to go out from India under a homegrown brand. And I think we have what we need to do for the next 10, 15 years before we sort of start looking at other regions or extending the brand to ingredients from other regions.
So when you do this as well, what kind of consumer insights have you got? How much are consumers willing to pay for tea? There's only so much of a markup you can do, I would imagine. At the end of the day, it is only tea.
Absolutely. So I think I think it's been being a digitally native brand. I think one of the key advantages always has been that we get to know the customer way better than even some of these bigger conglomerates do, because we interact with them on a daily basis. We get feedback instantly, and what we have realized is, consumers today are, I think they have started distrusting perfect brands. They want brands which actually humanize the entire experience, which sounds real, looks real, and that is what Vahdam is, as a brand, right? Today we offer, all our products are 100% natural. We don't use any artificial ingredients in our packaging. All our teas are sourced direct from plantations, are super fresh, right? And most importantly, right, I think what we have seen in all of these products we sell, right, that the health and wellness angle, I think has started playing big time in markets across the world. If you look at a market like US, if you look at Europe, yes, coffee is a bigger product in terms of market size, but I think consumers worldwide are moving towards tea, herbal teas, primarily because of its health and wellness aspects. And I think that is exactly why what we have seen, that if you are able to make available a high quality product, consumers do not have a problem paying a premium for it.
How much of a premium? It's at the end of the day a tea, right? How much can you sell it for?
Not really. So Nayantara, I think how we take, I think tea, unlike what we see in India, I think India, it's still growing. But I think outside India, and even in India, we have seen that we consider it as premium as a fine wine, right? I think, some of Darjeeling's first flush teas, some of Assam's Tippi second flush teas, they can be compared to the finest of wines across the world, right? So I think as a brand,
your finest of wines can be sold for a couple of $100 a bottle. Do you see that ever happening for tea?
We are moving towards that. Yes, we are moving towards that. I don't know if it's $200 a bottle, but I think there is definitely consumers who have started understanding the value, the health angle which tea brings to the table, and that's why they are very happy to consume and pay the right price, right? I don't know if it's $200 or $100, but I think the right price for the product, which also gives back to the value chain here in India. And that is one more thing I wanted to add as a brand. I think we are very focused on ensuring that we ultimately also empower the Indian tea industry. And I think, which is obviously plagued with a lot of problems like poor education, low wages. And I think the way to solve that, the sustainable way to solve that, is a homegrown brand going global and retaining profits in a country like India.
And on that note, I'm going to thank you, Vala, for taking the time out, for joining us here on Startup Central. That's Vala Sarda, who raised about $11 million from people who is very difficult to get money from. Obviously, they were very, very impressed, as is Oprah Winfrey, who in 2018 had his tea as one of her top gifting items. Watch out for this particular startup, 3 years in the business, already serving and selling tea in more than 70 countries.